Over the past months, many of the best aimers and peripheral enthusiasts have been talking about one mouse specifically. You might have heard of it. The Endgame Gear OP1 8K, Endgame Gear's newest addition to their lineup. But it's a wired mouse, and on paper it doesn't look too special. Why is it getting this much positive attention? The Endgame Gear OP1 8K comes in only at 75 USD, which is extremely cheap in terms of what it's offering. Has 8K Hz polling rate, of course. It weighs around 51 grams, give or take. I've seen some weigh 53 with the cable, though you can't really use it without the cable. Mine weighed 51 with the cable. It has a great sensor and the build quality is extremely solid. The mouse coating is also very well done. Where the mouse starts to differentiate itself, however, is with its switches and its shape. The OP1 8K is known to have one of the lowest click latencies on the market, and while it doesn't necessarily come with the lowest click latency out of the box, Endgame Gear offers a setting called SPDT mode. Enabling SPDT mode basically changes the actuation point of the click in a way, sort of like what Wooding did, basically netting us with the lowest click latency mouse in the market as of right now. And the difference is actually quite noticeable. It feels much more intuitive. However, even this doesn't come without drawbacks. Enabling SPDT mode has the chance of sometimes bugging out your clicks and makes it so sometimes when you click once, the click is held down constantly until you press the click again. I believe Endgame Gear is aware of this, and this could potentially be fixed through a firmware update in the future. Even with this being the case, I still have mine on, and it's definitely a feature that's worth considering. But even without this, I would probably still be using this mouse. Why? Elephant out of the room, it has a cable. Shouldn't this be a big downside? I would argue it's not as bad as it sounds. Cables are not all the same, and this one is very well implemented. With a mouse bungee, it becomes almost not noticeable. Now, if the mouse was lighter, then it would probably become more noticeable. So which is it? It even has a cable. Why is this mouse spoken so highly of? And how does it compare to other top mice? Before trying the OP1, I was exclusively using the Final Mouse Ultralight X. It only weighed 38 grams with lighter clicks and the freedom of no wires. It just felt better. The weight difference between the two was immediately noticeable, and I wasn't sure if I could even adjust to it. I even stopped using the OP1 and kept swapping back and forth between the two. While I've been using both, my ultralight ran out of battery. I was too lazy to swap back, and I kinda didn't feel like it. The more I used the OP1, the more I found myself unable to stop. It wasn't just about the specs or the weight anymore. There was something more. Mouse shape is one of those things you can't fully grasp just by looking at the specs. You can read all about weight, click latency, sensor quality, but the shape, it's not as concrete. Unlike raw numbers which you can compare on paper, the shape of a mouse is not something you can quantify, but it can be the difference between hesitation and confidence. The shape of the OP1 is different. It has a very pronounced back hump, and it flares out towards the back. The sides of the mouse have a sort of rounded feel to them, and the mouse is quite narrow horizontally, which allows for more precision if you're claw gripping with medium to smaller hands. How was I able to perform with it? In reality, you can aim extremely well regardless of your mouse, considering that you're not using a brick to aim, or a ball sensor from the Windows Vista era. But this doesn't mean that having a better mouse doesn't matter. Of course it does. Let's take a step back here. While I've been going on about how shape is really important, that doesn't mean that everything else doesn't matter. Weight, click latency, sensor performance, click implementation, those all play their part. Would I prefer the OP1 8K to be wireless and lighter? Probably. However, I think shape is something we should be giving more attention to when buying a new mouse. It can dramatically impact the way you feel about the mouse, your confidence, or even control of the mouse. Oftentimes more than we realize.